the president wants is a more comprehensive strategy to deal with Iran in its totality. I think for too long, and certainly the last administration, really defined the Iranian relationship around this nuclear agreement. This nuclear agreement is flawed. It has a number of weaknesses in it. And so the president said throughout his campaign even, he said, I'll either reform the agreement, I'll renegotiate the agreement, basically saying I'll either fix these flaws or we'll have to have a different agreement entirely. And I think his decision around the new policy is consistent with that. So now we want to deal with the nuclear agreement's weaknesses, but we really need to deal with a much broader array of threats that Iran poses to the region, our friends and allies, and therefore threats that they pose to our own national security. The policy itself really has three components, and I think it's important that people understand this, and the president described these in his speech. There is the nuclear agreement, which we are going to undertake an effort to see if we cannot address the many flaws in the agreement, working with partners. It may be a secondary agreement. Maybe it's not within the existing agreement, but we may undertake a secondary agreement. But then there's a much broader array of threats from Iran, its ballistic missile programs, its support of terrorist organizations in the region, Lebanese Hezbollah, Hamas. These are all very threatening organizations. And its destabilizing activities in Yemen to support the rebels, the Houthis, to support the rebels in Syria, the Assad regime. Everywhere you look in the region, Iran's activities destabilize the region and threaten others. But the third element of this policy, and the president touched on it in his address, is this is not about the Iranian people. This is about the regime in Iran, this revolutionary regime that ever since it came to power has been intent on killing and harming Americans and harming others in the region. We do not hold the Iranian people accountable for that. So our effort is to support the moderate voices in Iran, support their cries for democracy and freedom, and in the hope that one day the Iranian people will retake control of the government of Iran and restore it to its rich history of the past, reintegrate and become a fruitful member in trade, commerce in the region. So that is really the end game here, but that's a very long game, and we realize that.